Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The series begins in a small town with Mayor Bonnie ringing the town bell at sunset. The town's residents hear the bell, and everyone rushes to their homes. Shops close, streets empty, and Deputy Mayor Kenny returns to the nursing home where his father, Mr. Lon, who suffers from Alzheimer's, resides. Kenny sits with him, playing chess. Meanwhile, Mayor Bonnie walks through the town's streets to ensure no one is outside before heading home. At home, he has a board displaying statistics about daily incidents. He touches a stone with a strange symbol hanging on his door. It becomes clear that every house in the town has the same stone. In one of the houses, we meet Lauren, who lives with her daughter Megan and her husband Frank, who hasn't returned home yet. As time passes, Lauren hears the town bell and hurriedly locks the doors and windows, worried about her husband. Frank, however, is drunk and unconscious at a friend's house. Lauren sends Megan, her young daughter, to her room, where Megan prays before sleeping. Suddenly, Megan hears an old woman calling her from the window, claiming to be her grandmother. Megan opens the curtains, sees the old woman, and tells her she's not her grandmother. But the old woman pleads with her, saying she's lonely and just wants company. Lauren enters the room and sees Megan talking to the old woman. Lauren warns Megan not to open the window, but Megan opens it anyway. Suddenly, the old woman transforms into a terrifying monster and attacks them. On the highway, a family of 4 is traveling in an RV. The father, Matthew, the mother, Tabitha, their older daughter Julia, and their young son Ethan are on a trip together. Matthew feels they are lost and drives all night. The next day, Frank returns home to find a large group of residents and police officers around his house. When the mayor sees him, he grabs him and forces him to see what happened to his wife and daughter. He admonishes Frank for abandoning his family, yelling that a man's duty is to protect his family. Frank breaks down in front of the mutilated bodies of his wife and daughter, who look horrifying. Meanwhile, Matthew encounters a dead end due to a fallen tree and has to turn back. In the town, the mayor visits a well-known house owned by Donna. Donna tells him he's not welcome, but the mayor insists he just wants to talk to his son, Ellis, who works as an artist. Ellis is painting a beautiful girl named Fatima. When Fatima sees the mayor, she hugs him and leaves so the mayor can talk to Ellis alone. It's revealed that the relationship between the mayor and his son is strained. The mayor tries to start a conversation and mentions what happened to Lauren and Megan, but Ellis shows no interest in talking to his father. The mayor leaves, feeling sad and frustrated. The town gathers to bury Lauren and Megan. Meanwhile, Matthew finds himself on an unfamiliar road with no cell phone signal. He enters the strange town, gets out of the RV, and asks Tabitha to lock the doors. He asks the townspeople for directions to the highway, but they are shocked to see new faces and are too frightened to respond. Matthew is confused and keeps asking around until the mayor arrives. The mayor and Kenny see his RV and realize his family is with him. They give him directions to the highway, and Matthew thanks them before driving off. However, he soon realizes he's going in circles and can't leave the town. He encounters a girl named Sarah from the town and asks her for directions, but she gives him a strange look and walks away. Matthew continues to wander until he sees a car swerving ahead of him. He loses control of his RV to avoid it and crashes. When he regains consciousness, he finds his leg injured, his wife unconscious, and Julia unharmed. The driver of the other car, Toby, also realizes he's been going in circles. Toby, slightly injured, gets out of his car and heads toward the town. The mayor finds him on the road and takes him to the clinic. The mayor then rushes to the accident site and finds Toby's friend Jade, who was also in the car and is drunk. The mayor arrests Jade and searches for the RV. Meanwhile, at the clinic, Nurse Sarah tells Toby the accident wasn't his fault. Suddenly, she stabs him in the neck with a screwdriver, killing him. The mayor contacts Christy, who is at Lauren and Megan's funeral with Ellis. Christy asks Ellis to come with her to help his father rescue Matthew's family before sunset. They rush to the accident scene, where Christy sees Ethan with a severe leg injury. She tells the mayor it will take an hour to stitch the wound. The mayor advises Matthew and the others to return to town before dark, but Matthew refuses to leave his family. Tabitha regains consciousness and is fine. The mayor instructs Christy to break the stone and distribute it around the RV, ensuring they stay safe. Christy stays with Ethan until his wound is stitched, while the rest return to town. After an hour, Christy finishes and they hurry back before it gets completely dark. They arrive at a house known as Colony House. The mayor locks the doors and windows and watches the RV from inside. Suddenly, a group of people appears around the RV. The mayor tells everyone in the house to stay quiet, but Ethan has a seizure and makes noise. The group outside starts screaming for help. Matthew tries to open the door, but the mayor stops him, explaining that the people outside aren't real, even if they seem so. Matthew doesn't understand until they realize the group outside includes Ellis, Julia, Tabitha, and Kenny. Another group approaches them, and Julia pleads for help. Kenny warns her and shoots one of them, but nothing happens. Terrified, they keep banging on the door. Donna decides to let them in. Once inside, the mayor ties them up and places each in a separate room to ensure they're real. Fatima goes to talk to Julia, and her strength diminishes. She shows her his drawings to calm her down. The son reveals strange entities in human form, whispering to those inside the house to open open the doors, after which they kill them. In the house, Chrissy hears scratching and noises on the walls everywhere, and she becomes very scared. However, the mayor calms her down, telling her not to imagine things. Elsewhere in the house, Donna sits with Tabitha and tells her about the monsters that make them lock the doors and windows. She recounts the day she and her sister arrived in the city and encountered the strange creatures. She explains that they shot at them, but it had no effect, and her sister died that day. She continues, saying she was lucky the mayor found them before sunset. At the clinic, Sarah screams after killing Toby, appearing regretful as if she was forced to do it. She returns home, takes a shower, and her brother Nathan arrives, asking about dinner. Sarah breaks down and tells him she had no other choice. At the clinic, one of the nurses is sitting with Mr. Liu, Kenny's father, who is the deputy mayor. She goes upstairs and finds Toby dead on the bed with a screwdriver in his neck. She is shocked to discover the door open and a group of strange creatures smiling outside. Terrified, the nurse rushes downstairs to where Mr. Liu is and locks the doors. The next day, Kenny goes to check on his father and discovers the doors open. They find the nurse and Mr. Liu brutally murdered, leaving Kenny devastated. He storms out of the clinic, angry, and the mayor tries to calm him down. At Sarah's house, she confesses to her brother that she left the clinic door open because of the whispering voices and that she had no other choice. At Colony House, Julia sits with Ethan and tells him a story, but Ethan is distracted, staring out the window. He sees a young boy waving at him from afar, and he is the only one who can see him. Jade, who was drunk, wakes up and asks the others in the house what happened, not believing a word they say. He leaves the house and wanders the city. The Matthews family decides to rent a house to stay in alone, and the priest takes them to an empty house, which happens to be the same house where Lauren and Megan died. Tabitha learns what happened to them and refuses to stay there. She then notices a strange box outside the house and asks the priest about it. He tells her it's the box used to punish Frank, the father, who abandoned his family and caused their deaths. At the house, Ethan goes outside and meets Victor, one of the city's oldest residents, who behaves very strangely. Ethan talks to him and asks what he's doing. Victor says he wants to see if the tree has moved from its place. Ethan tells him he saw a strange boy smiling and waving at him outside the house and is looking for him. Victor is startled, but before he can respond, Julia interrupts, seeing her brother talking to Victor. She asks him to come inside. Before Victor leaves, he tells Ethan to greet his mysterious friend. Meanwhile, Jade wanders the city, searching for an exit. He finds an underground basement and thinks it might be a secret way out of the city, which no one seems able to leave. Suddenly, he sees mutilated, brutally eaten corpses in front of him. Terrified, he runs away, but remembers that his friend Toby might be behind all the pranks. He returns to Colony House, where everyone gathers outside. The mayor gives the outsiders a choice between staying at Colony House or in the city. The Matthews family chooses the city, except for Julia, who decides to stay at Colony House. Later, Jade mocks them, but Kenny shows him Toby's corpse, shocking Jade and making him realize everything is real. He agrees to live with Kenny and his mother in their house. The Matthews family moves into a new house while Julia stays at Colony House. Before sunset, the townspeople gather in front of Frank's house to punish him by locking him in the box for abandoning his family. The mayor hesitates in his decision, but Frank believes he deserves the punishment, feeling guilty after losing his entire family. Frank enters the box and everyone returns home. Suddenly, Frank sees the creatures outside the box approaching him. He becomes terrified but accepts his fate. The creatures break the box and attack him, killing him. We then flash back to Victor's childhood, recalling the day he came out of the underground basement and found corpses everywhere. And in the future, Julie wakes up in Colony House and sees Victor sitting in front of her, watching her. Afterward, he shows her his drawings, and Julie feels scared of him, unsure how to deal with him. Later, she notices one of the girls living in the same house wearing her shirt, which was in Julie's bag. Julie gets very upset but tries to hide it, allowing the girl to take it. In the city, the mayor goes to the box where Frank was imprisoned and finds it broken. He discovers Frank brutally killed, removes his body to bury it, cleans the area, and rebuilds the box. Later, he buries Frank's body and recounts the story, being accused of causing Frank's death and that the punishment of the box was his idea. They claim he was the one who suggested the stones, which serve as a charm to protect houses from the evil creatures, and that he created the bell system and designed a way to protect the city. They say that without him, the city's residents would all be dead. At the city restaurant, Nurse Sarah works alongside her job and sees Mrs. Lily crying over her deceased husband. Sarah is deeply affected, knowing she is the reason for his death. In Matthew's house, they try to adapt to their new situation. Ethan wakes up and asks for something sweet to eat, so Matthew takes him to the restaurant. Matthew leaves Ethan alone for a moment, and Victor approaches Ethan, drawing him and asking what he is sketching. Victor starts drawing the accident he experienced in his childhood, trying to recall his memories through art. Ethan mentions the moving tree, saying it moves every Wednesday with a noise. Victor then shows Ethan a drawing of a small child and asks if it's the same child he saw at Colony House. It turns out to be the same child. Matthew sees Ethan talking to Victor, confronts him angrily, and tells him to stay away from his son. He takes Ethan home. Meanwhile, Jade returns to the basement he explored with Kenny, but finds There's no bodies or any signs on the ceiling. He tries to convince Kenny of what he saw, but Kenny dismisses his claims and tells him to report to the mayor's office. At Colony House, Tabitha visits her daughter Julie and asks her to return home with them. Julie becomes upset, accusing them of not wanting to be together and knowing they planned a divorce after her brother Thomas's death. She says she doesn't want to be part of their family anymore. Tabitha returns home heartbroken. At the mayor's office, Jade arrives with Kenny, who sees the city map and tells him that all the people who travel on the city road never leave it. Jade is shocked and cannot believe what is happening, asking for an explanation. But Kenny tells him that trying to understand life here will drive him crazy. Jade gets frustrated and hears strange noises from the radio next to Kenny. He unplugs it, takes it with him, and leaves. At Matthew's house, Tabitha argues with him, showing that their relationship is not good. During this time, Ethan is sitting alone in his room when Victor speaks to him through the glass, asking him to come outside and talk. Ethan sneaks out without his parents noticing. Victor tells him that they need to find the child Ethan saw. Ethan asks why, and Victor responds that the child is chosen. They head into the forest together and arrive at a strange-looking tree. Victor places a ball with a smiling face drawn on it inside the tree. Suddenly, the same ball appears behind them, as if the tree has the ability to transport everything inside it to another place. Victor explains that the tree can transport people, but the destination is unknown. They continue walking in the forest and see the small child Ethan had seen earlier, but he suddenly disappears, and they hear a dog barking in the distance. Suddenly, Victor has a memory of a dog he saw when he was little and tries to remember it. At that time, Matthew and Tabitha discover that Ethan is not at home and they search for him everywhere. They go to the forest, and there they find a dog barking loudly, and they know that Ethan is in danger. They keep searching until they find him with Victor, who is shooting in the air to keep the dogs away from them. Matthew gets tired of Ethan and tells him not to talk to the strange people. They return home and decide to inform the mayor of what Victor did. He says that he will hold a meeting with Victor's supervisor and them. Victor returns home and searches for his drawings to remember the dog he saw in his mind and tries to arrange his drawings according to the events he is trying to remember from his childhood. After a while, the mayor meets Matthew and Tabitha, and they talk about what Victor did. After that, Kenny comes and asks the mayor to come with him urgently to Tabitha's house and Matthew, with each other, and each one of them apologizes for his fight with the other, and Matthew sold that he did not cross the company. Sarah is in the same restaurant where Matthew and Tabitha are, and suddenly she feels something strange moving in the veins of her hands, and a writing appears on her hands saying, "Kill the child," and Sarah gets dizzy, fall consciousness. At that time, Victor is digging in the ground in front of the colony house, so Don smiles at what he is doing, and that he scares people in his way, so he tells her that he is preparing for what is coming. At Sarah's house, her brother Nissan finds out what happened to his sister and goes to the hospital for her. There, Christy takes care of her and tells them that she will stay up with her all night. They continue their time together, and suddenly, Sarah asks Christy if she is capable of doing something horrible, but in exchange for saving the people trapped in the city, Christine tells her that if there is something bad she would do in exchange for helping many people, she will do it. In another place, Jade tries. He fixes the radio, and it remains his only hope to communicate with the outside world. And he is the only one who is unable to accept the idea of being locked up in the city, and is surprised that no one around him tries like him or complains about being in a place he is unable to leave, and they surrender, and Sarah comes to visit him at home and plays with him. And Tabitha is sitting with them, and Sarah wants to sit alone with Ethan, and suggests to Tabitha that she take him the house farm. So Tabitha tells her that it is empty, and she can come with them. At the colony house, Fatima and Julia go and enjoy their time at the lake, and Fatima talks about her life before she was locked up in the city. At the cemetery, the mayor visits his wife's grave and tells her, his hand trembling, that his time is near. He means that he will die, but he thinks of an idea that will allow foreign people to leave the city and return home in peace. At the church, Nathan decides to confess to the priest about what happened at the clinic. He reveals that Sarah plans to kill Ethan. It is revealed that the writing on her hand acts as commands, controlling her actions, forcing her to follow them, or everyone will die. The priest is shocked and rushes with Nathan to find Sarah before she harms Ethan. They discover she is at the farmhouse with Tabitha and Ethan. At that moment, Sarah tells Tabitha and Ethan about the city's history before the creatures appeared, forcing people to hide after sunset. She explains that the town is full of hiding spots, revealing a special secret hideout behind their barn. She asks them to follow her to see it, and they all go together. Sarah tells Tibbs to enter the hiding place and try it, but suddenly she locks Sarah inside the hiding place, and she remains alone with Ethan, and takes out the scalpel that she has to kill him with it, and tells him that she is very sorry, and she loved him very much at the time when Nathan arrives and stops, and Ethan kicks her and runs away from him quickly, and Nathan comes to grab Sarah before she runs after Ethan, so Sarah wants to free herself and accidentally kills her brother with the scalpel in her hand, and falls to the ground bleeding, and dies. So she runs away quickly and sees the cat running after her, and hears Matthew and the rest of the townspeople about what happened, and they go to the farm at the time when Essie arrives, whose sister is in the colony house. And at the farm, Tabessa is very sad about what happened to Nathan, who was defending her son, and she writes a question on the house and says, "Did we really survive the accident? And Christ knows what happened." And she feels that her answer to Sarah's strange questions is the reason. And the priest who was running after Sarah returns and tells them that he did not catch her, and Nathan is buried, and the priest tries to calm the townspeople in. At this time, Victor is still digging a grave-shaped hole in front of the house. At the church, Cutie goes to broadcast the story and asks if Sarah will be able to live outside the house until tomorrow without the creatures killing her. Cutie tells her that she will most likely die. After she leaves, he goes down and goes to the ground floor, where he locks Sarah up and ties her to a chair without anyone knowing. Kenny and the mayor continue burying Nissan's body. He takes advantage of what Sarah did to Mr. Lowe and kills the mayor to take the spellstone with them and walk in the forest for the longest possible distance until they find a way out of the city. But Kenny is not convinced by the idea and leaves. At the church, Cutie decides to lock Sarah in the box because of what she did. At Matthew's house, he discovers that the electrical wires are not real because there is no electrical conduction inside the plastic itself. Suddenly, Jade enters Matthew's house with a radio and a large group of luck and asks him to help him. While repairing the radio, they collected things from Jade's car to help them in the repair, but they discover that the car's battery is missing. After they repair the radio, they choose a tall tree to put the radio on and it receives a signal, but it turns out that Jade has a phobia of heights. It will be better that Matthew goes to his place and brings a rope. Suddenly, he sees blood coming down from the tree. He finds it on its branches and a large number of corpses hanging from the tree and bleeding. He sees the same symbol that he saw on the helmet drawn on the wall. Suddenly, he hears the sound of a gun, and Bella sees a person wearing a military uniform and his bonnet is towards him. Jade runs away but gets injured and the soldier stabs him in the chest with a knife. Jade screams from the pen and Maso comes quickly. Bella is lying on the ground and there is nothing on his body. He threatens him and tells him that whatever he saw and felt is not real. At the time, the mayor goes to the clinic to talk to Christy and thinks about what Mr. Lowe would look like if he was dead. Christy comes down from the upper floor and greets him. The mayor asks her about Kenny's psychological state after his father's death. It appears that Christy and Kenny are engaged, so Christy tells him that he is trying to be the person that the people around him need. The mayor knows that his time is near and wants to know that the mayoral position will be with the right person. In the church basement, Sarah tells the story about the voices she hears, which seem to warn of something bad that will happen, or that she is waiting for. She says that they are the voices of people imprisoned like her and are trying to call on her for help. Sarah seems to hear their words and breathe their orders to save them. She also tells him that these voices foretell that 2 cars will arrive in the city and that this really happened. The priest does not believe it and tries to find an explanation for what is happening and feels Sarah is crazy, and suddenly Sarah screams and says no to him as if she saw something bad happening. And then she asks the cat for a piece of paper and tells him that the voices want to send him a message. And in Matthew's house, she is thinking of broadcasting an idea that can get her out of the city, and she thinks that she will follow the electric wires that will be coming from outside the city, and she goes down the tunnel and digs in it to reach the wires. At that time, Matthew is trying to pick up signals from the radio and takes Jade to Mrs. Lowe's house and tells her what happened. So Mrs. Lowe's house is in very old boxes and shows her a picture of the symbol that she saw somewhere else. The mayor tries to talk to Kenny, but Kenny is sad and unable to speak, so White rushes the mayor to confess to him that he is sick and that he will die soon, and that he wants to be ready to take his place at any time. And in the forest, Matthew is unable to reach the signals and returns home, and there he finds his broadcast in the basement of the house looking for solo electricity. Suddenly asks him if he remembers the war he made for her from his shoelace. Matthew scratches his face and tells her that he lost it on the day Julie was born. He takes advantage of the fact that she still remembers him, so she gives him the bracelet that she found in a store where the belongings of dead people are stored. Matthew scratches his face and tells her that it is definitely a look-alike, nothing more. But Tepetha proves to him that it is the same bracelet as hers and tells him that they must find out how and why they attacked here. She tells him about the idea she is doing to get out of the city by tracking the source of the electricity lines. Matthew is convinced by her words and helps in digging. In the church, Sarah draws the story that the voices are talking about to prove to him that she is not crazy. Bella finds her drawing a hole between the graves, and in it is a box that he has hidden himself for a very long time. He is sure that no one knows anything about it. They reconcile, and Bella is the same one Sarah drew, and it is impossible for her to know about him and Be'dakor, and that it is a link between them and the world of spirits. In the colony house, one of the young men hears sound of a girl standing behind the window. He opens the curtain and finds a beautiful girl with lots of roses. She says that she loves roses very much and asks him to let her into the house. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more news.